Arizona at Kansas State. And you guys let me know in the comment section what you think about these games. I'd love from you because, we don't know yet. Like I said, I'm still trying to make up my mind on some of this stuff. But Kansas State comes off of a 34-27 victory over Tulane, in which, they were outgained in the game. You know, Tulane was able to really move the ball around, especially through the air on this Kansas State defense. And Kansas State figures out a way to get it done, there kind of towards the end of the game. What are we going to get out of Avery Johnson? This guy, I feel like, is still trying to kind of cut his teeth in this offense a little bit. What do we get out of him long term? What's going on with Dante Cephas, Mason? Is he hurt? Is that, do you know?
I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. That's something we'll have to kind of break down a little bit later on, and have for our
Yeah.
Tuesday show. But I'm not sure what's going on with old Cephas.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't see any statistics for him. Kansas State fans, I know you guys are super in tune with everything. Let us know what's going on with Dante Cephas, because this was a guy that we both talked about. We were like, oh, well, him leaving Penn State really kind of hurts, Penn State. And then where's he at? I guess he's hurt. I don't know. I don't hope that he's hurt, but statistically, I hope that he's just, not playing. I hope that he's not playing because of injury and not something else. But you need him. You need a change up on this offense. I feel like, for sure. And defensively, I talked about all the yards given up. It's kind of a head scratcher with all the returning talent that you've got on this defense. I mean, the secondary just got absolutely cooked. So I'm curious as to how you're going to counteract this in such a quick turnaround against Arizona, who only scores 22 points last week, sure, and had I'm talking about just one of the worst first halves you could possibly have. 0 of 10 on third down in the first half for Arizona in this game. That's absolutely ridiculous. I think they finished the game 2 of 12 or something like that. I something or another like that. It was really, really bad after they ended up getting a 22-10 victory over Northern Arizona. So this game starts off. Kansas State is a 7.5-point favorite, is what I got. You got them at 8.5 there. So
yeah.
these lines vary from place to place. I couldn't even find lines on some of the games we're going to talk about yet. So I'm glad that you were able to. But this game is going to be played on Friday night at 8 p.m. There at the Snyder Family Stadium. What do you think about this one, Mason? Kansas State has been a team that, admittedly, you have done more research on and been kind of more attached to as the season has went on. I've been kind of gravitating towards like the Utah side of things in the Big 12, and Kansas State was a team season that you were a little higher on than I was, and I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on Kansas State at this point.
Well, the defense is certainly behind the offense right now. They rank 64th in the country so far in total yards allowed. They've given up 312 and a half yards per game so far. That's not great. That's not typical Chris Kleiman defense. So, and they've got their work cut out for them this week. Going up against Arizona, Arizona ranks 4th in total offense at 494 yards, and that's after the game against what was it, Northern Arizona last week. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive. They're averaging 8.8 yards per play, which is first in the country. That's tough to stop, right? And a lot of that is Teteroa McMillan and Noah Fafita, linking up on seemingly their brains are meshed together, and they're just thinking each other's thoughts throughout the game is what it looks like, because you see Noah Fafita scramble out of the pocket and kind of try to figure out something to do, kind of playing backyard football in some cases. And lo and behold, his number one receiver, who's being double teamed, is wide open somehow. Really impressive. Those two players can take over a football game. So I'm really anxious to see kind of what that matchup looks like. Kansas State did lose a lot in their defensive secondary this year due to the transfer portal and graduation and things like that. So that could be an area that Arizona exploits, and they will try to exploit in this game. I'm still a little bit concerned about the coaching for Arizona. I think that when you look at the coaching matchup between Kansas State and Arizona, I think that Kansas State has a clear edge, but we'll see. That, like I said, those two players, if you can limit Noah Fafita, you can limit McMillan, I think you got a really good chance at winning this football game. That's a tough ask because I do feel like these are two of the better players in college football right now. Moving over to Kansas State's offense, we kind of just don't know what is going to happen with Avery Johnson. He's getting his first year as a starter. He's a true sophomore. Didn't play a ton last year. Tons of upside. Really like what he's got as a skill. As a quarterback, as a talent. I think that he is pretty strong, but I don't know that the training wheels aren't off yet. It feels like they are limited with their pass catching weapons. It looks like Dante Cephas did play in this game. He had one-handed catch that ended up being ruled out of bounds. So he's playing, just hasn't recorded any stats. I kind of wonder if that says more about the scheme right now and also Avery Johnson than it does about Dante Cephas. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have our eyes glued on this one. This is the first game that we'll get a chance to really just watch Kansas State through and through, for a full game. But as of right now, I think it's fair to question the playmakers on the perimeter. They have ran the ball pretty effectively. They're averaging 7.8 yards per rush, which is good for fifth in the country. Again, they're not playing, world beaters on, the defensive side of the football. So we'll take that with a grain of salt, but they're averaging 7.8 yards per rush and 7.5 yards per play, which is 17th in the country. So, in total, as a whole, this is a matchup between two great offenses, right? So far, or not great, but two good offenses. They're definitely ahead of the defensive sides of the football. Kansas State's defense is a little bit ahead of Arizona's defense. But how is this all going to play out? I think it's going to be a really close game. I think 8.5 points is way too dang much for this game as of right now. That Kansas State is getting this at home. I think that does help playing in Manhattan. But right now my gut tells me that it's going to be closer than 8.5. And also I kind of like the over. I wouldn't bet that right now. Let's kind of wait and see how this number moves around a little bit. But by the way, I'm going to go ahead and give you let you know what sportsbook this is coming from. This is coming from FanDuel. I kind of have to hunt around for some odds this early in the week, but as of right now, if you feel good one way or another about this game, you can go to FanDuel and bet it at 8.5 or the over/under at 57.5. I'm going to wait to make a play later in the week to see kind of what this number does, but I like Arizona to keep it closer than a 2-score game at this point.
As far as the line goes, right now I'm leaning with you for sure. 57.5, so a pretty high number as well. We'll kind of have to look at that. Yeah, this is our first chance to really get a look at these teams, in a pivotal matchup that everybody's going to be watching. Arizona returns a lot of guys on the offensive line. They return 4 out of 5 starters on the offensive line. And then you've got Kansas State that returns, 3 guys on that defensive line and then a couple of starting linebackers as well. So I think you're going to get to kind of see strength on strength there, right? And not a ton of returning guys on the offensive line for Kansas State. So still trying to kind of get your feet set and on the other side of that, Arizona's got all transfer players on the defensive line. So I feel like you've kind of got like strength on strength and then weakness on weakness kind of on these. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that dynamic works out as the week goes on. But, yeah, I mean, Arizona is an offensive-led football team. There's zero doubt about that right now. And we just watched Kansas State struggle defensively last week, and it shouldn't be that way. I mean, Kansas State was a team that you had way less questions going into the season about the defense than you did the offense. You had way more returning starters on defense. So kind of puzzling to me a little bit. We'll have to see. Offensively, love the way they've been running the football. Good things happen to offenses that run the football. DJ Giddens, Dylan Edwards, I like that duo there in the backfield. Dylan Edwards, boy, sure didn't make a good decision getting out of Colorado. But we got to see some more playmakers get involved, and that means that Avery Johnson has got to figure out a way to get him the football at the right time, and we'll see. They're going to have a chance against this Arizona defense to be able to do some good things offensively for sure.